That chipped tusk is a nice touch. Anyone knows what it was about the Reagan administration that had people pumping out iconic designs as if it were policy? Would it be wrong as an outsider to the Predator fanbase to assume that both the premise, the creature, and their combined appeal thrived off of simplicity? Genius character design, except I would have reduced it to just looking cool on the surface if not for watching this video unraveling the intricate reasons behind why 87's design worked as well as it did on a visceral level, and it goes far deeper than just being this hodgepodge of fun, ugly, nasty things for the purpose of creating something fundamentally disconcerting. Had the same reaction to that face reveal as I did to Gore as a kid because it looked to me like a real, anatomically authentic, functional Australian insectile abomination rather than some movie monster, thanks to all the reasons this guy thoroughly dissects.
There's a biological function to the predator's mandibles outside of just being sharp tusks. As you can see, the predator's mouth has no lips to cover the teeth or gums. So how do they prevent their mouth from drying? I mean, they have eyelids stopping their eyeballs from drying, and they aren't like the alien that has an endless supply of drool. It's actually a big function of the mandibles. In the first movie, when the predator reveals its face for the first time, the orientation of the mandibles looks like this X formation, and it nearly covers its entire mouth. And it's only until it roars do we see it all open up. With the way that the mandibles close up, it shields the mouth. It's always reminded me of a crab's mouth, where it can all close up but then it can all open up to allow food in. Not only the function of closing up its mouth, this is the only movie to demonstrate the top two tusks are for his clicking and communication.
Insightful work. Being shown details that would have escaped you otherwise by the guy at the party who's a little too into Predator is sometimes the only way for you to better get why something worked so well, nearly ruining all the following attempts and making me reconsider rewriting this whole thing in accordance to this newly given perspective. Peak analysis, peak autism. God knows why I chose to watch this video so late into my script writing process. This is an edit. Yeah, there's a little more to it than a Power Ranger fan's gateway into the Alien franchise, so there might be a reason behind the uproar in regards to the Badlands situation, but not that much. Some of you guys are racist. I'm no expert on whatever that thing is called. I don't suspect lore or world building to be the fanbase's bedrock. I mean, fine movie, but I feel that most of the credit should be given to Stan Winston for launching that brand into the stratosphere. Do we love the Predator for its encyclopedian, is that a word? Encyclopedic dive into the Predator's homeland and culture? Is this Avatar? Seems more like a Ridley Scott's Alien situation to me. The more you explain it, the more you rob a thread of its mystique, but there's explaining the origins of the soulless killing machine from outer space, and then there's turning it into a main character. Next step is giving him human problems like self-esteem issues, bullying, drug addiction, body dysmorphia, loneliness. I should reiterate that I once felt like I had to look away from the screen every time 87 was given a close-up. I had a genuine evolutionary response to a fictional creature. Stan was determined to make us understand that never should a human even be in a room with it. So why does a new friend look suitable for romance? You might be treading in dangerous territory when your predator looks like it might have a soul or would consider sparing you out of pity or worse, sympathy. They're creating a story that asks us to sympathize with the killing machine, and they're using design to help the process. They even gave him brighter eyes to better read his emotions because predators have them too. It's dissonant, oxymoronic. Him being part of this freak of nature culture while being its underdog is a challenge offering this tight threshold where a strong design can come out without stripping the predator of everything that made it so impactful in the first place. Maybe the issue is the chosen narrative imposing onto the design traits that clash with the main appeal of the... okay, what are they called? Yeah, I'm not. A new twist on the premise never actually clashed with the established aesthetic. The Predator, was the aesthetic, influencing the whole movie built around it. He was always the threat or the superior thing we were meant to connect too closely with, and AVP only gave us a taste of the problem at hand, with this one saving grace being not straight up being given human eyes like they did in 04. What were they thinking? The design for Deck wasn't even what threw me off at first. It was getting Mandalorian vibes from its speeders, flat landscapes, western motifs, flashy laser swords, and he would fit right into Star Wars the same way this guy just wouldn't. I believe this Star Warsification of Predator to have been done on purpose to cater to two likely overlapping fan bases, creating an even larger clan rally. Good job. The film also can't look as much like a horror film due to there no longer being that much of a distance between the main lead and whatever serves as an antagonist, hence the sleeker, more streamlined palette removing grain and grit from the lens, which to me feels like a bit of a loss considering how rarely we get to see sci-fi aesthetics combined to horror on that scale for film. Something I can at least give to Predators for what it might have been, looking as if it were shot through a mosquito net and then miraculously restored, leaving sweat and oil onto every practical surface and frame. Hell, some shots made me think about Peter Jackson's King King Kong, it's not Adrian. It's the texture, the grating, the grime, the bones, the dirt. Something about how they captured those carcass-ridden crevices that tasted the same. How bad was it for seeming so competently made, only to never be brought up in passing? Granted, that was back when every blockbuster had the prerequisite of actually looking like their money at the very least. But just how bad was it? Hold on, let me check. The most 2010 movie I've ever seen in my life, both in essence and quality. Remember that trend of creating a dog version of the main boss? The bikes count as dogs. I recall stumbling on shots from Predators and somehow got the vibe from it that I was too young to watch it just from the looks and feel of it. I mean, check this trailer. Badlands just wouldn't have done the same for me if it came out back then. Might just be another Scott to Cameron sequel situation, and you could have done far worse than achieving a look that rests right between Prometheus and Star Trek Into Darkness. Getting a lot of Dan Mindel vibes from this. We love Dan Mindel in this house. He made The Rise of Skywalker as watchable as it possibly could have been. He's innocent, and I'm here reminded of its forests. As far as sci-fi adventures go, not bad at all, and I'm always a sucker for a nice push-in. Bonus points for a fine color grade. There's a good reason why they brought Trachtenberg back for this one despite his apparent trend in dividing the fanbase with his Yautja designs. There, I said it. I'm kinda torn on Deck, but reducing people's complaints to him looking different might be missing the entire point. I propose that it does somewhat depend on what you're trying to change while still getting away with calling it a Yautja. Sure, they can look different, but how different until it's barely the same creature? If you were shown two lizards of the same species, how easily would you be able to tell Bob from Johnny? That's why you use armor and tribal tattoos to solve that problem. This guy just might actually be a different species, except maybe the problem is that he looks like a Yautja's default skin, lacking in all the appealing customization, but maybe the point is him not yet having climbed the ranks, collected all the right monster skulls, or scavenged the right parts to earn all the drip that comes with a higher level. Maybe that's the narrative, and then you realize you've got more of an issue with the story than the design due to the former dictating the latter. But beyond that, it's a matter of taste and agreeing or disagreeing with the choices made by whatever concept artist. This is a choice to say the least. But not only did Dan make 10 Cloverfield Lane, but there's also a compelling argument for him having casually directed the best Predator film in the franchise, I said that, and a mid-design's just not gonna take that away from it. An argument I'm supporting by pointing at how his camera dances with whatever stunt being performed, especially with the Predator finally looking like a breathing, living thing instead of 7 thick layers of prosthetics worn by some performer doing his best not to be swung backward by the weight of his own damn head and body, always giving drunk hunchback with that posture thinking he looks tough just to move like a sack of potatoes until Dan figured out the equation and made them move like 100-pound ninjas with rabies. Scariest thing in the world. Coolest thing you've ever seen. Seems like people are due to revisit Prey or unaware that the man at the helm is the same guy who directed this scene, not to mention slapping some sense back into an IP that got way too silly. We're lucky that it isn't a more schlocky director reconnecting the Predator universe with aliens, he who at least cares about tension and treats action with enough importance and craft not to make it look as stupid as it inevitably would have under a lesser conductor. Deck's soulful eyes and sympathetic physiognomy aren't concealing this masterful blending of CG and bodysuit, not only allowing him to move different, but also to emote when needed, which I guess we're gonna have to get used to. Dan's designs might be divisive at best, but are completely unmatched in mobility, not only for all the combined skills to allow the actor to perform the way he did, but also thanks to the cinematographer making sure to do it all justice. His return for Badlands pretty much guarantees all that sauce coming back, one of the many factors that could help this design grow on us as we watch him climb those hills and ride that bike and monster hunt and do Mandalorian LARPing on whatever planet. I feel like some of those objectionable design choices, the lighter armor, the smaller head, mostly due to the lack of quills on the side, might be what allow him to showcase the physicality the Yautjas would canonically have, to carry the kind of physical performance you'd actually want to tune in for a little under 2 hours, and those brief shots are already promising some of the same Yautja mobility as seen in Prey. In a perfect world, our first glimpse of Deck would have been comparable to that first Kylo Ren reveal, maybe with a more magnetic design increasing the film's rewatchability value due to being too distracted by the guy's armor, forcing me to watch the film a second time to better sponge in the plot I assumed the film to have from the presence of that stranded Yutani, adding just enough of intrigue and sci-fi layering to what might have otherwise been a simple excuse for Yautja's survival guide, which kinda sounds fun. What I'll give it for what it may lack in grit is that it definitely has that thing that just makes it look more like a theatrically exclusive release. More so than Prey even, which isn't a jab. Just a testament to Trachtenberg's one-upping of himself, which is always a nice thing to witness in someone's career, and I saw it coming. Dude knew all the ways not to make that bunker ever look anything close to boring, and now he just might be on his way to further cement himself as the best thing to ever having happened to this carcass of an IP left for dead by one of its own. Let's not take the creativity shown through glimpses of some appropriately lethal alien vegetation for granted, as I believe it to be another sign of effort and care put into this new and bold entry into a franchise I did not care as much about until I was told to by the internet. Deck's a weird looking Yautja, but at the end of the day, we're still likely to get a good film, and if a lesser designs the price, I'm still buying. Character designs a lot, but it can only go so far. Let him cook.